Right. Right. Where's he going? Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. At home, hello to Stephanie, Kara, Carrie, Kathy, Dave, and Miss Mahoney.
Oh,
Here. Hello, sir. And here we have Joe Golden, Rick and Amber Don Padilla. Padilla, right? Uh, Joe and Mary, Jeff and Mary, James Greenbean. Sir, I don't think I met you with the awesome beard. Nice to meet you, sir. Nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. Phyllis and my son Max, thank you all for being here. I do want to say several things before we get started. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. Yeah, so what you're supposed to be seeing now is the syllabus slide from our lesson 1 presentation. If you guys can tell me at home that you're seeing it, that will be awesome. Thank you, ma'am. So here's the thing. As we know, this is a pilot class. This is the first time running it. And the reason I bring it up is, you know, things happen, snow falls, I get a job. So we adapt. Our third lesson through Zoom, I was not happy with, which means last lesson I did a rehearsal. Good evening, ma'am. Good to see you. Max, we're making sure everyone has worksheets, right? Yeah, awesome. So yeah, which is why I had to rehearse last material to make sure I'm doing it right and doing it well. But as you can see from our syllabus here, there's definitely, the way I built it is because I knew I'm gonna have to go back, do stuff better. I'm probably not gonna make or not gonna finish doing everything. So yeah, today technically is lesson 5, but in terms of material, we will be doing lesson 4. But because I'm needing to adapt, lesson 5 and 6 are gonna kind of mush together. But yeah, we have lots of time. As you can see, continuation of lesson 6, continuation of lesson whatever. So no reason to be alarmed. If anyone wants to, if there's an example, an exercise you guys want to refer to, the worksheets, something you saw online, something you heard from the music on a movie, if you want to discuss it, to remove any doubt, please let me know. So I don't need this presentation anymore. And what brings us to today's lesson. What I want to do today, and I'm taking into consideration, we may probably not finish it today, but we will continue next class. A lot of material. There's a lot of material for today and for next week. The reason for that is because we're starting to build on all that we've learned. We've learned the alphabet and the vowels and basic words, directions, and so on and so forth. Now I really want us to start building on that. And please, there is no shame in taking your laminated Hebrew helper that we gave out the first lesson. If anyone needs another one, we can laminate more. So it's that. Jimmy Greenbean in the classroom is showing that. So yeah, taking that, following letter by letter. Okay, this is how it sounds. This is the vowel. This is how it sounds. Letter by letter, reading and building the word that you are reading. That's the foundation. This is actually how we learn in Israel as well. No shortcuts to getting the letters. Knowing the letters and vowels and the sounds enables us to read words, reading conjunctions, and make sense of Hebrew. So that's that. Today we're going to do pronouns. male versus female, singular and plural. I want to preface this all with a huge caveat. This is going to be confusing, but you really don't need it all. A lot of this I want you to know so you'll be able to identify it. Oh yeah, that exists. That's a thing that exists. But in Israel, for example, the difference between male and female, plural to singular, except when counting, right? But if you need direction, it's directions at the airport, and you're a group of people, but you spoke as a singular, people will understand. People are not stupid. Hand gestures go a long way. A big part of our communication is non-verbal at all. A lot of it is tone of voice. But yeah, what I'm trying to say before I get into all the confusing parts is that even, for example, if you just remember your gender and singular, that'll still work. That'll work in Israel. Okay, we see it all the time, every day with immigrants, mostly from the former USSR. But yeah, they'd get it wrong all day long, and some of us would correct them. Some of us won't even bother because who cares? I still understood you. So yeah, this is going to be confusing. If you need to start with remembering your own gender in singular, and let's build on that. Before that, the last remainders of last class, and just to refresh us up, we had our particles and transliterate this one. And ve, you remember the shva here means no vowel, but as we slur and talk fast, instead of ve, sometimes you'll hear it as va. But yeah, it's a tonality. Fun fact, this is also how you say and in Turkish. Continuing on. Ba or
Could you stop? Hey, Matani, could you stop screen sharing so we
Oh,
can see
yeah,
the
sorry.
blackboard?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for moderating. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We spoke about ve, we spoke about in or at. And hopefully we'll get to see some examples of how they interchange today. So ba or be. We spoke about how be will be used for general things, while ba will usually be used for a specific thing, something we know. Okay, so if I say ba malon at the hotel, that will be different from be malon, which will be just in a general hotel. Continuing on, this is a little bit this and that, or a little bit of new material. And thank you to whoever cleaned the board.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Bringing us to here. We have a lamed. We said it's equivalent to an L. And we have two vowels. It kind of, so the interchangeability, the way these two differentiate from one another, similar to the ba or be, but this is two. Okay, two. I'm going to Mount Sinai, le Har Sinai. Let's write it down. So this will be le, to. An example would be let's see, 9. Up here. So again, we talk fast, we slur, le becomes le. So kind of the same thing, le. But if I am to say to Mount Sinai, which can either mean to our congregation or to actual Mount Sinai. Le Har Sinai. There's a space here, I just wrote small. Har is a mountain or mount. Sinai is how you say Sinai in Hebrew. Do you need me to write it bigger, ma'am? I can. I can write it bigger. Write it bigger.
Sorry.
No worries, no worries. It's always a mystery if you guys can see it or not on this board. I will erase this for the sake of right now. We will see it more in the future. So just to do it together, we have our lamed, two, le, two. Har, we have our hey, or equivalent to an H with the kamatz, making it a ha. Resh, and at the end of the word, we said we don't bother to add a shva, but technically it will be a consonant, which is what this vowel means. So consonant meaning no sound. Le har Sinai. Sinai. So technically there's a shva here, but we don't write it. So to Mount Sinai. Now, transliterate. Le Har, and if you remember, I capitalized because technically it's attached, right? It's an add-on letter. So in order to distinguish where the word begins, I capitalize. Le Har Sinai. Sinai. Even. Does that make sense? Or is it with a Y? Sinai. Feels like if I do this, for example, it's a Sinai. Does that make sense? But it's really not Sinai, it's Sinai. With an I?
Maybe just like in chat.
Yeah. Le Har Sinai, to Mount Sinai. Questions so far? Questions at home? Awesome. So this is two. Okay? Two le. Let's do another example. To the airport. To the airport. But right from here. I don't think I forgot it. So yeah, there's a space here. Still gauging my How much yardage do I have on this board? Okay. Do we want to read it together? I'll give you another minute to write down. So we already said this means to the airport. But I do want us to linger on this example real quick. So some words need to come together to bear meaning. Okay? Like last time we spoke about how to say synagogue. Beit Knesset, house of gathering. But if we use beit without the Knesset, it'll lose its meaning. And I'm intentionally not writing it down. I want to just remind this. So some words need to come together to correlate in the meaning we're trying to bear or understand. Okay, this is another one of those cases that I want us to translate literally together so you can understand. I can erase this, right? No, everyone's writing at the bottom. So I'm going to translate this above it. But yeah, we can start seeing how all of these particles we've been learning are starting to come together. You can see from there, right? So we have our particle two somewhere, le, right here, lamed. And then we have two words, this one and this one. This one, second word, has a familiar particle that we should eventually, it should pop out to us. But this is our acknowledging or ha, the, so the particle the. So we have two words, to something, the something, okay? And remember, these two words need to come together in order to mean airport, okay? We said this means to the airport. Let's read it together. Le, or le, and then we have the scene here. If you remember from the little dot being on the left, it has the shva, which makes it no sound and no vowel. So less de. So we have the dalid with the vowel that says lis de. Lis de. I'm gonna write it down here. That's de. So yeah, people talk fast in Israel. Le will become le, whatever. Sde. That means to the field or to field. I'm intentionally translating this literally. Remember, there's a realm of what it literally means, and then what we make of it, what we understand given context. Next word, we know this is ha or the ha, followed by taf. No vowel, so sounds like a consonant. So t, ha, t. Ain, if you remember, it's supposed to be very throaty. It's kind of not anymore. You do hear it in some of the music I send, though. And it has the vav with, so this is the cholam on the side, which means it's like an u, okay, u. So ha, te, u. And then we have our pay without the emphasis inside. If it had the emphasis, it would have been like a P. In this sense, it does not have the emphasis. So it serves like an F. It has the kamatz, So an F with a kamatz would be fa. Ha-te-u-fa. And the hey carries the sound. Ha-te-u-fa. Ha-te-u-fa. I'm gonna add it here. So ha means that. We know that. Te'ufa means flight. Flight, like in an infinite form, flight. To field the flight, or to the field. The is kind of implied here. So to the field, the flight. We would understand or derive to the field of the flight, but there's not, again, it's implied. What will we understand from this? Airport, or to the airport, or to the field of the flight, okay? To the airport. See, I hope you can see it from here. The airport.
Matani, here, X, is there a different word form for it if it's a noun? Is it acting as an adjective, or is it just two nouns together? Two things, or is teufa like a descriptor?
So alone, teufa will still mean flight.
Okay.
But field of flight is how we say airport.
Right.
So if you want to say airport, you'll have to come together. I will say there are other fields. Sorry?
Right.
There are other fields in Hebrew. Like a semantic field, for example. Sadeh semantic. Will be another example. Did I answer?
Yeah, I'll ask you after, because I don't want to get too bogged down.
No, I mean, here's the thing. So le kind of implies with it to the, okay? We need to kind of remember that. Is there a grammatical rule I can refer you to? There isn't one. This is how we understand it, you know? Which is also why we're kind of I'm trying to break down the words. But yeah, that's another example of words that need to come together to bear that meaning. So field of flight, or I can't think of another translation to do. So if it'll come to me, I'll tell you. Okay. Any questions about this in the classroom, at home? To the airport. So you can get into the taxi, say لسدة تeufa, لسدة تeufa. The guy will understand. We have maybe three, maybe. I think they're building the third one in Israel. And there's really only one international one, which is Ben Gurion. So taxi drivers will understand. لسدة تeufa, which means to the airport, and they will understand Ben Gurion.
Then you put on your seatbelt, right?
Yes, sir.
And get ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, no questions. I do want to continue on. Just to remind us, to the airport. Lisde, hatelfa. Yep. Nothing I'm forgetting about that. So we have two. We just learned two somewhere. Now we need to learn from somewhere. Now note that from, or to for that example too, is very general. Even in English, we need to add context to everything. Sometimes the functions will be very similar to English, sometimes very annoyingly not. We'll see that later on today. There's definitely an element of remembering. Practice, 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 especially today's material. The later one in the class. Immersion. Okay, I'm gonna try and send some more movies this week. And I'm definitely gonna send some more videos. Watch them. I'm taking into consideration today and the next week are not enough. Continuing on. Anyone want to start with it? Meh. Awesome. Kind of like a meh. Meh, except without the disgust, like meh. Which means from. So for example, we want to say from Wyoming. Wyoming's gonna be annoying to write. Let's try. So yeah, there's no official translation for foreign things. They literally tell you translate as it sounds. The Hebrew Academy of the Hebrew tongue. So let's say from Wyoming, we know it'll start with a meh. Sometimes you will see it with a shva for the sake of not being repetitive, meh. Wyoming. Yeah. What am I writing down? No, Texas. No, I want you guys to know we're from Wyoming.
Mississippi's better.
Wow. Oh. Yeah. And from meh, Wyoming. So I did the double vowels to signal a W sound because Israelis will coming with the aleph kind of carries the sound. Wa. Okay, just to explain the logic behind my tonality. Wa, yo. So we have our yud with the cholam, which makes it o. So yo. Technically, we have a shva. Wa, yo. And we have the chilek here, which means e, carried by the yud. So wa, yo, mi. Noon with the shva, which makes no sound, which means n. Wyoming. G. Technically, this will also have a shva. If we don't bother writing it at the end of the word. Me, wa, yo, mi, n, g. Me, Wyoming. So let's say I want to say I am from Wyoming. We already know how to say I am or me or I. I'll add it above here. Ani. Yeah. Ani me Wyoming. Wyoming. I am from Wyoming. Let's iterate it. This is not how we write Wyoming. This is how we will utter it. Wyoming. Ani me Wyoming. Can you see them? Should maybe, is there a way to turn off on that light maybe? No? So, yeah, I am from Wyoming. This is both for male or female, both will say this. So if I ask you, ma'am, where are you from? Anime, Wyoming. If I ask you, sir, where are you from? Anime, Wyoming, same thing. No gender distinction. Questions in the class or at home? About from, about to. People are writing, so I'm gonna let them finish writing. Gaze at my presentation real quick. I am not sharing it. Okay. I'm gonna continue on. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna discuss the differences between male or female, aka masculine versus feminine. I will say for the sake of people on Zoom, I am not sharing my screen. However, my presentation is projected on the class. I am also sending every presentation via email. Everyone has it. I'll kind of jog in and out from the presentation and the blackboard. I will also erase the blackboard real quick. So here's the thing, just to remember our caveat, and for the latecomers on Zoom, hello to everyone on Zoom. I'm gonna teach today, hopefully today and next week, pronouns, difference between masculine and feminine, the difference between plural and singular. Big caveat, this is where sounds get confusing. The difference in why we conjugate this that way and this that way gets very confusing. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want you to be very comfortable with, first off, remembering your own gender in single form. And then build on that. It's very common in Israel for new Israelis, immigrants, to speak in broken genders when building sentences. It's very common. No one laughs at them. At best, people will correct them. Oh, yeah, this is how you say it. At worst, people won't care and just, yeah, I understood you. So yeah, and I am gonna, after saying that, I will share my screen real quick just for reading it. You should be able to see my presentation here on the masculine versus feminine slide. So I will write a few examples. You're more than welcome to read it. If anyone actually wants to read it, Max, you want to volunteer and read it?
Which one? The,
All of it.
in Hebrew, nouns have a gender, masculine or feminine. Male nouns will usually end with a consonant sound, while female nouns will usually end with an sound, or with a t or cat. Other groups of words in female form will end in eat. Groups like professions, nationalities, ranks, or other hierarchical positions.
Languages too. Continue, please.
No, gender is not always related to actual gender, but is a grammatical feature. Words will usually be either male or female, but sometimes both.
Awesome, thank you very much. So just as a confession, and this is not a slide by any means. Male is really easy. Female is where it gets a little bit annoying. But yeah, there's a logic to it. We'll get to it. I want to have some examples. For the various sounds. This is the sound. The next one is. You can see if I write here.
Yes.
This has a kamatz under it. Five. Okay. So welcome to starting masculine versus feminine. We have our first word here. Anyone wants to try reading it? Rofé. Nice. Rofé. Rofé. Note, we have our pay here without the emphasis, making it equivalent to an F. The cholam, making it ro. Aleph carries the sound. Rofé. Transliterating, blah, blah. Rofé. Rofé. Does that make sense? Which means a physician or doctor, but here's the thing, in Hebrew we will say just doctor. But so this will closest translate into a physician, so a medical physician, a medical doctor. A male one, okay? So Dr. Bloomberg, you are Rofé. Rofé. Physician. Which leads us to our female form. So this is male. This will be female. Anyone wants to try reading it? And note that the vowels have changed. Rof'a. Sir, you know, you can read, sir. You can read. Rof'a. Rof'a. We will slur and say Rof'a for the sake of announcing it in an exaggerated form. Rof'a. Rof'a. Gonna write it down. Feels like an apostrophe is healthy there. Rof'a. Does that make sense? Any
Matane?
suggestions? Sorry?
Matane, I'm sorry to bother you, but on the screen that you are sharing,
Oops,
there's a
yeah.
pop-up about an antivirus program expiring, and you might want to shrink that window.
Thank you. I will also stop share so you guys can see the screen. Sorry. Thank you very much, sir. Jason. Rof'a. Okay, so we said Rofé, physician. Rof'a, female physician. So it'll still be physician except female. Female. I will caveat by saying we will refer to either or by doctor sometimes, very acceptable. Except it won't be doctor, it will be doctor. Doctor, okay? But yeah, in Hebrew, so doctor is foreign, it's not in Hebrew. Rofeh or rofah. Physician, either male or physician female. So gorgeous, you're a rofah. Okay,
And if I understand correctly, it derives from the root, it's heal or healer, I should say, because Raphael is where this derives out of. Or they share the same root, I should say.
I agree. That's a very wise pointing it out. So thank you for that comment.
It's
So
my
yeah,
middle
it does
name in
come-
Hebrew too.
Awesome. That's a very good comment. So it does come from the word, the root of the word. Resh Pei Aleph. Resh Pei Aleph will mean to heal. Okay, so it is derived from. I don't want you to write this down, but yeah, so the root of it comes from healing. That's where the word is coming from, healing. So maybe it can also be understood as a healer. But yeah, that's like, gives you like tribal healer connotations. No, this is a physician.
We use that word when we say the Mishaberach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know if everyone in the class could hear it. Dr. Bloomberg said we also use it in the Misha Beirach. Yeah. And by the way, we'll have Passover soon. You will have the Haggadah. Same thing for the Haggadah, letter by letter, vowel by vowel. You'll be able to read it, I promise you. Questions about physician, either male, rofeh, or female, rofah. Questions at home as well. Awesome. Let's continue on to these two other examples. So here's the thing. Female has several sounds to it. Male will usually end with a consonant. We did say there's technically a shva here. It carries the sound before it. But yeah, the male versions will 99% of the time end in a vowel, in a consonant. So really a non-sound, simple sound. And females, Edward Jr. Admit, I don't know who Edward Jr. is. I just showed it on the presentation, just to refresh our memory. Share screen again. Max just read it. So we'll have either an A sound, or it can end with a T or et, or the double E, T, which means eat. And we'll have another example here. So we just did this example. That's an example of a femalized word that ends with an A sound. I do want to caveat and say some words are just female, some words are just male. That's the word. Some are both. So a physician, or we'll get to the other example here, that's a role. Okay, that's not a noun. But nouns will also have a chair as male, for example. Kiseh, that's a male. Luach, a board, that's also male. Why? Because of how it sounds. So remember that we're not just going for positions here, but yeah, words will have floor as female, ritzpah, we'll get to it. And there are other examples. For the sake of right now, for the sake of thoroughness. We have our first word, that's in male form. Anyone want to read it? Sapara. So we have the emphasis on the pay, making it instead of an F sound, a P sound, sapara, which means barber or a hairstylist who is a male. We really don't have there's no different word for a barber will be both for females or males. So I'm gonna write it down. Right. You can hear how it ends with a vowel, with a consonant, sorry. Sapara, which means barber or hairdresser. Those will interchange. Hairstylist, whatever. Which leads us to the female version. Saparit. Remember, we just said double E and a T, so eat. Saparit. There is a reason why different words, when femalized, sound different. So, for example, I may ask, why does a doctor, a physician, end like this? And female barber, saparit, I'm gonna write it down. Saparit. So you may ask, why is it that female doctor or physician is like this and female hairdresser is like this? There are two reasons for that I don't need you to bother remembering. One is tonality, and the other one is there are different levels. Actually have it here. I'm still sharing. That's actually good. So yeah, and I went, this is what I do when I need to make sure I got the grammar right. I go to the Hebrew Academy, or the Academy of the Hebrew Tongue website to make sure I'm saying stuff right. But yeah, there are 3 levels of how to femalize something. It goes to the root of the word. I don't need you to remember it. I am stopping sharing. Yeah, one of those things we're going to need to remember. Because even if I tell you the grammar rule and have you write it down and memorize it, there will be irregulars. It's better to remember it this way. But yeah, whenever we say eat, saparit, you can already immediately know that it's female. I will immediately, yeah, this is female. A part of the reason why I want you to listen to the music and all that is so you can catch this better. So this is a female barber or hairstylist. Sometimes you will hear people say stylistit. Stylistit. Same finishing, actually. So just barber. Female. This is the male. And just because now it's I want to show it to you. I'm going to erase the top. So hairstylists and English are very frequent in Hebrew. They're very much alive in Israel. So a lot of the times, and because there is no distinction between a hairstylist and a barber in Hebrew, there's really not a distinction. What people will hear them say a lot of the times is stylistit. I'll write it down. But the same feminization. Eat. And it's kind of like transliterating English into Hebrew, which is the opposite of what I'm going to do now. Okay, just for the sake of pointing it out, stylistic. It's a foreign word. It's not in Hebrew. Style is in English. But there's no hairstylist in Hebrew. So people will compensate and say stylistic. But still, it's a feminization of the word style or stylist. I'm going to continue because I tend to go into rabbit holes. Questions about this at home, in the classroom? I am going to start erasing from the bottom. I do have another example for our last sound of a female. So we said female can either end with female words, can either end with an a, eat, or an et. For example, lawyer. Okay? Lawyer is two words in Hebrew that need to come together to mean lawyer. So correlating words. I'm going to start with male. List it. And again, by all means, remember your own gender. It will be easier. And if you do remember your own gender, the opposite gender will pop out to you. So, orech din. Just read it, but this for the sake of repeating. O, re, and we have our final cough here. So this is like a cough without the emphasis, making it a ha. It should be a deeper ha. Nowadays we use it as a ha. Orech din. I'm going to transliterate. Literally, orech means editor. Okay, editor. Or conductor. And when I say conductor, I don't mean like in a philharmonic. I mean like a conductor of an action. So it'll either be editor or conductor. Well, I am conducting this action. And then din, or din, will mean verdict or judgment. So it can either mean verdict or judgment. Sorry. So these words correlate, right? We said they come together to bear meaning. In this sense, we already know lawyer. But in its most literal translation, if you remember the literal meaning of things, the conductor of judgment or the editor of judgment. Conductor of judgment. Caveat, a rabbi will be the judgment giver or the verdict giver. In this sense, a lawyer will be judgment conductor. So he's responsible to see that you're getting justice. Someone's representing you. So this is male, okay? This is the male. A lawyer who is male. Female. Do it here. So we can immediately see that verdict did not change. It stays the same. Dean. What did change? The profession or the singular, that so the conductor / editor of the verdict or judgment. Let's read it. Who wants to try? Phyllis, you're the only female lawyer here.
No. No,
Orechet, nice, nice. Orechet din. Orechet din. So if you can see, we said, sorry? We said 3 sounds for female, depending on whatever particle it is, a noun, a profession, whatever, less important. We saw the it, the a, barber, stylistit, or the a, rofer, rof'a, physician, male or female. Now we're seeing that last sound, et. Orech, et. So a male will be orech, din, orech. And female will be orechet, orechet. And the taf will technically be carrying the sound from the chaf. Orechet.
Right.
Nice. Orechet din. I'm going to transliterate. Sorry? Which also means lawyer. Except in female form. I'm going to move aside so you can write. And if someone has questions, either at home, in the classroom, please by all means jump in. To make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, yeah, something I wanted to do. So while you guys are writing, we were talking about the differences between male and female in singular. Okay, so far this is singular. Again, not to scare you, remember singular, it'll still work. Where does it get confused? Where the sounds repeat in different occasions. And we can't necessarily point out that, okay, why did this just happen? And especially because there are so many irregulars, so you can't point out at a rule that will catch all. Another example that we see it very, very well in is language names. Okay? So there's a difference between saying Russian, as in the language, or someone who is Russian, okay, in Hebrew. A lot of those distinctions don't exist in English. In Hebrew, they do. I want to use that example right now. With English, let's say. English is more important. I'm going to erase the board. So we've been seeing how some words are just female or male. We'll have examples soon. How professions change according to the gender of the employee or whoever it is, the professional we're talking about. Now, just to show that distinction between someone who is English and the English language. And we can see the finishing eat. And eat. Three words with the same root, different manipulation on them. That first one means English, the language, okay? So if we're to transliterate, who wants to read? Anglit. Nice, very well. Well done, sir, in Greenby. Anglit. This will mean the English language. Right, the English language, Anglit, Anglit. And then we have, who wants to read? Are you trying, Max? For this, Angli, Angli. Okay, Aleph with the kamatz, Nun with the no vowel sound. So an, Gimel, same thing, ang, Lamed with the chilik, and the yud carries the sound, Angli, which means Englishman. Englishman. So, or an English person who is male. Okay? Angli. Englishman. And as you can guess it, the word below it is female or female English person, an English woman. Anglia, perfect. Who said it? Nice, awesome, awesome. Points. Anglia. But you can hear that sound, right? So Anglia, Anglia. Write it down. Yeah, English woman. Or an English person who is female. Questions so far? In the classroom, at home. Okay. So just to point out several things, we have different ways to manipulate a word into being female. Most often than not, the eat sound will be for professions. Another example is languages. So Anglit. There are other languages I can give the example for, but our time is short. And I do want you to remember Anglit. So if it's very easily used in Israel, for example, if you're in the airport or stuck lost somewhere at an attraction, tourist site, whatever, and you're stuck and you need help. Anglit, Anglit, they will understand. Okay, you need me to speak English. And you will probably always find someone who speaks English in Israel. But yeah, Anglit, yeah, do you speak English? Will work. I am gonna let you finish writing, and I feel sufficed with male versus female in singular form. I do want this to continue to another thing while I have a little bit of time left. And we do have other examples on your worksheet that I can't get to in our classroom. Of course, you don't have to do any of it, but by all means, they'll help you. I will say all of the particles we've learned thus far, I do accumulate them in the worksheet, so you will see them. We can only move forward, not backwards. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. So once everyone's done writing, I think everyone's done writing, I'll do plural versus singular. Easier one. Easier one. And I will share my presentation. If I forget to stop share while I get to the board, when I get to the board, please tell me, because I do alternate them. Yeah, we do have other examples on our presentation as well that I will send it to you. So yeah, Max, would you like to read this while I write down some examples?
Different language components are pluralized or singularized differently based on whether they are female or male, among other considerations. Plural nouns will differ from describing plural occupation holders, for example. For the most part, masculine subjects will end in "im" sound, while plural feminine subjects will end in "ot" sound.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So here's the thing. We have female, male, plural, singular. Before I get started, I do want to say females are pluralized one way, males are pluralized one way. So technically, everything we want to say, depending on if it's one guy, a guy and a girl, a group of girls, or a group of guys, we'll have different ways to say it. Sounds alarming. I promise you it's not, because Israelis mix it up too. And we usually go by the male. Forgive me, this is not to be chauvinistic or anything, but yeah, Hebrew is gendered. And kind of the default will be to go to the male manipulation or conjugation. But yeah, if a word is male, you will pluralize it in the male form. If a word is female, you'll pluralize it in the female form. Here's an example. Okay. So we know that top word, we've been using it, dalkon, which means passport, okay? That's single, okay? And it just so happens to be a male word, okay? So a single passport, dalkon, is a male word, it's a male noun. How do we say passports? So plural passports, not just one. Write it down. Anyone wants to read it? Awesome. Dalkonim. Okay, so Max just read us read that slide. Usually male items, people, professions. Again, sometimes we'll have irregulars, but for the most part, 99% of the times, it'll end with an im sound. Okay, so dalkon, singular, one passport. Dalkonim, let's write it down. Note the im, passports. And this is really why we needed to power through the female versus male, even though it really doesn't matter to me if you remember it. In terms of speech, you do need to remember why things are conjugated the way that they are. Okay, dalkon, a passport, one passport, is conjugated to dalkonim because it's a male word. Okay, if you manipulated it in the female pluralization, it would not make sense. So that's one male example. We have another male example here, and then the female next to it. Who wants to read this word? Who said it? Kelev. Nice, man. Very good. Kelev. Very well. So transliterating it would be like this. Kelev. Note that the bet does not have an emphasis, making it like a V. Kelev, which means dog. But as we know, dogs can be female, right? And there actually is a word for a female dog in English that's, yeah, is not the same in Hebrew. But yeah, I want to show you how to write female dog, for example, and then pluralize it to multiple female dogs, to give an example. So one male dog will be kelev, one female dog will be kalba. Now we do have the emphasis, making it sound like a B. Here too, on the kaf. So kalba, kalba. So that's a female dog. Kalba. And actually, if you say it's like to someone kalba, it'll actually be the same as like calling someone the B word, which means female dog. Okay, so I'm gonna erase the top there at least so I can do plural female dogs. Okay, so because dog can be either or, male or female, we can pluralize them male or female, depending on if we're talking about a group of male dogs or a group of female dogs. I'll start with the male. And then here I'll do the female. Okay, single female, male dog, kelev, as we just read and learned. Multiple male dogs. Nice. Sir, you know a lot more than you think, I do believe. Klavim, well done, sir. Klavim. So yeah, as you can hear the im here. I'm gonna transliterate below it. Okay, klavim, a group of dogs that are male. And then a group of dogs that are female, okay? Right, it's here. I'm gonna translate it, it's underneath. So a female, one female dog is kalba. I did this to emphasize. This is not a vowel. Ka, l, bot. So the vowels almost stay the same. Kalbot. But you can hear the difference in the endings. So females will end with an ot. Males will end with an in. Like Max read from the slide. Okay? So im, ot. I will say, for the sake of pointing it out, the rule in Hebrew is that if it's a group of both males and females, you go by the male. Actually, I think they changed it a few years ago. You can use either or. You'll see, especially in academia, you'd see a lot of people insisting on pluralizing thing in the female way. Yeah, so if you're talking about a group of people who are either male or who are both male and female, do either or, both will work. Okay. It will work more to do the im. But yeah, we live in a newer era now. So pluralizing as multiple females or multiple males will still go for a mixed group. Any questions? Class and home?
So if you have a group of, we'll say, women and one man, it's still gonna be male, correct? Like every other language.
You can still say, so here's the thing. There's actually a different word there's a different word for man and female. Specifically, the word for female or woman is irregular, which is why I didn't give it as an example. People is kind of irregular. But if you pluralize, let's say a group of doctors, rofot, okay? If there's a male doctor or physician in the group, people will still understand. The rule is to go by the male. I can tell you that it's more used to be the rule is more accurate to say, you know? Did that answer, man? So, awesome. Let you finish writing. Okay. So here's the thing, we have about 8 minutes left. Which is actually good timing because next week I'll get to do pronouns and focus on the pronouns. It feels to me like if I do pronouns now, it'll be a lot and confuse. The reason why this comes before the pronouns is because when pronouns are pluralized, you need to know the difference between male and female. Okay. I will say a lot of it I want you to have in terms of, you have the presentations, you have the slides and worksheets, you can refer it and you are learning it right. In terms of functionality, yeah, we will use it very broken. You will either see people going by only male or only female. Definitely starting with remembering your own gender is the way to go. Okay. Remembering what refers to me helps me point out what doesn't refer to me. I'll erase this and yeah, we have a few minutes. Maybe I'll do another example, maybe 2 examples. Any questions so far? In the classroom, at home. Oh, hello, Rabbi. Good evening, Rabbi. Thank you for joining us.
Hi,
Safe?
folks. I just had a few minutes.
Hello, Rabbi. How are you today?
Baruch Hashem, ani beseder.
Baruch Hashem.
Unrelated question,
Please?
so that the TV show that, Good Cop
Yeah?
is hilarious. Okay?
Awesome.
I noticed about that. But
You
they
know what?
refer to the chief as rabbi all the time. Is that kind of an inside joke or is it commonly the boss referred to as a rabbi?
You know, I wish I watched it. Carol watched it. I didn't. But yeah, but a lot of it. So if there's a person, let's say I'm in a room with someone and we're both kind of trying to get more Torah, okay? And clearly someone is more knowing than I am, and it'll be very endearing to call someone, rabbi, even if he's not, but it's kind of a,
Not like calling someone a smart ass.
yeah. Sometimes it's also smart assy, but it can also be a sign of endearment or a sign of respect, depending on how you say it, right? But since that's a good example, let's use the word cop or policeman. And female. Sorry for those wonderful sounds. Okay. Great. Okay. Remember, so we said 3 ways to make something feminized and the way that it sounds. Usually professions, languages, formal stuff like that will be ending with "eat." This is not one of those examples. We also have "et" or "a." Okay. Less important for you to remember that as a rule. I don't want you to be able to repeat that rule for me. I want you to be able to remember the function in your brain. So, wonderful example, a male police officer, the policeman is shoter. Shoter, police officer, who is a policeman. Okay, and then we'll have the female version. Shoteret. Shoteret. Let's transliterate it. Policewoman. And then just for the sake of translating the full name, ha-shoter, ha-tor, we already know what ha is. So- Okay, the cop, who's a male, the good, the cop, the good, or the good cop. I will transliterate it here. Oh, yeah. Tov. Tov means good, the good cop. Go here. The Tov, the good. The cop, or we will understand it as the good cop.
But if you kept adding adjectives, would you also keep having to add hot?
Depending on the correlation between the words. We'll get to it. Have a wonderful evening, sir. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so please, I did finish. I just wanted to refer to that. Remember, we did today to, from, le, me. We did female versus male. We will brush up on this next class and continue the new material. So plural, singular. If it's male, we manipulate it into plural, usually with a double E and M sound, so im. If it's plural females, it will usually end with an ot. We gave some examples. I will say there are other examples on our worksheets and on the presentation, ones that I don't have the time to get to in the class. By all means, do them, follow them. If you have any questions, I do my hardest to answer as immediately as possible. I will send emails with more resources, music, and awesomeness. Please, please.
On the shin, how do we know it's the shin?
Oh. Forgot to do this.
There you go.
See, even I forget sometimes. Should
So if you want to pluralize it, would be Hakotari and Hakotari.
yeah, yeah. If it's the good cops were male. If it's the male, the females, hashotorot, hatovot. It's actually a good example. So the class is over. I will write it down just because we mentioned it. But you guys are very welcome to do it here. So hashotrim, hatovim. Yeah, that will be pluralized male. If I want to do it female, same thing with ot. Hashotrot, hatovot. And this is all recorded. I will send out the recording of the class. By all means, practice, practice, practice. If anyone needs me, I'm available. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much, ma'am. We can stop recording now as far as I'm concerned. Thank you. I am now closing the Zoom so I can fix up the class. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. And thank you for being here.
Lila Tov.
Laila Tov. Laila Tov. Okay, bye-bye.